I'm back at the drawing board, literally at the drawing board. I am doing my, well, for brevity purposes, my doodles. They're not really doodles, they do have more of a sophistication than I'm describing them. I just do kind of like a stream of conscious drawing, and from there, I'm going to build a collage out of this. Now, three things I love are coming together here, obviously collage, drawing, and the color pink. So I already went through the ephemera and found elements of pink that I was very attracted to. I actually took liberty and just cut out models already garbed in pink clothing or something that's close to pink because it was something that inspired me that I liked. These are actually nails that were on a model. I'm using primarily my old W magazines, and these are from the early 2020. I'm going to be looking for an eye, a big eye. Isn't that wonderful? When I'm ready to do cheetah, I'm going to be cutting this chair out. I might cut it out anyway, put it off to the side. But actually I've been keeping my magazines intact and I just go through them later. Also, there was this piece. I want to somehow incorporate this piece. It's kind of like a mismanaged foot and ear and place it in the collage drawing. I also cut out this guy, but I don't think he's going to make it in. In any case, I'm drawn towards eyes right now. I want to get an eye ready. She's got some really wonderful eyes. I might be using hers just because they're large enough for the image. So in many ways, I am planning out the image. So I already put an area for the eye. I didn't bother drawing an eye because I think I want a collaged eye here. So she's very Picasso-esque. Kind of reminds me of some of his earlier works. He's one of my absolute favorites. I think I'm going to incorporate the leg maybe like this. But we'll see more as we progress. And I say, let's get started. Both of these eyes from W Magazine will work very well. I love the way this one looks, and I love the way this one looks. Probably this one more because it appears that the object is, or the focal point is looking elsewhere. In any case, what I want to do is I want to somehow connect this line so I know where to cut. There's a lot of cutting that I need to do and a lot of connecting. When I do collages like these, the drawing collages, I'll just call them that for now, I like to create areas where I'm going to be cutting and I know collage will fit. So I want maybe this cheekbone area to connect with that eye, either eye. I think either eye will connect with this line. And the lines won't be visible to you. They shouldn't be anyway. It's going to be connected by collage. So I know that this area here, where the eye is going to go, and the lower part of the face will be its own piece of collage. So my next plan of attack will be to cut this area. I'll just start by cutting here. This is, as you can tell, was my little sketchbook, my trusty little sketchbook. And that's where I do these doodles. I've been drawing these types of images for, oh gosh, now almost 20 years from the last time I was in art school. And I just want to cut along the line I create. I can always change my path and draw something differently while I'm doing a cut, but I like to have a good idea about what I'm doing before I proceed. And it's that same technique that I use when I cut models' faces, when I take the features out and then I have a stencil left. It's the same technique, except it's my own drawing. It's very soothing for me to do these drawings. Like I said, I've been doing them for a little while now. I'm just going to go ahead and keep this area because I can then tape the eye there later. Oh, well, no, I didn't really need to do that. Okay, it's not a big deal. I didn't make a mistake or anything. I'm just thinking out loud here. No reason really to keep this section template. I might anyway, but I now have this area that I know I can start building the collage up. It's a large area, so do I want to consider using something that is highly designed, or maybe something that's a little bit more sedate? That way we can add to it later. I cut this out too because it's pink. And I thought that looked kind of cool. That might be kind of cool also. I don't know. I'll think about it. I had ideas for it, but I'll think about it. So I just cut out like this flower and some other elements that are not pink, but they'll bounce well off of pink. They'll be those complements to our pink. I'll just keep those off to the side for now. This could also even work as maybe a background for our eye. Something like that. I'll cut more later. I think I'm going to go with this eye. I'll keep the other one just in case I change my mind. I'll give it a nice clean cut using my scissors. And primarily I'm going to use packing tape for my adhesive. There will be cases, like probably with this very eye I'm cutting out, that I will need to use some wet adhesive to adhere it. There we go. So maybe, something like that. Not a great contrast, and that's the trouble with pink. Using pink is you run into the issue that there may not be a lot of contrast, but I like that. I think that's looking pretty cool. And I'll keep the other little eye in case for some reason I change my mind. So the next decision I need to make is what kind of pink will I put here? Maybe I want to use the lavender, and will that offer a greater contrast? Not really, but it's nice. Maybe look for those darker areas of lavender or something like this. And this is why I'm kind of falling in love with this technique, is I search for areas of clothing in the image that are darker than others, and that makes it look more two-dimensional and can really create some fantastic interest. Or we just stay simple and we put something very light on, and we can add something else later. It's up to you what you would want to do. I am not quite certain yet. I'm just playing with the bits of pink that I do have. Here's some really strong, darker pink. That almost looks more flesh-like, almost like a blush. And does it contrast well with our eye? Not too bad, not too bad. I might want to do something more with it. And there's nothing wrong with laying down a basic strong color and building up from there, because the beauty of collage is we have the option of adding to it. So for example, I also had these bits going on. This might work as maybe defining the cheek. Now remember, I did kind of draw something of a cheek, but we cut along that line, something that looked like the cheekbone. But I always change gears, it seems, when I'm working with a collage, even ones that I have drawn. And I change gears, and I usually am happier with the change that I make while I'm working. So this is kind of big, but maybe something like this. Just, maybe even taking this nail art and doing something like that. That might be kind of interesting too. But that's what I mean by having a foundation for this kind of work. It's a little different from what we normally do here on the channel. This might be interesting also. Something like that. That's actually a little bit busier than I like, but wonderful contrast for that simple human eye. And then there was this flower. The flower might look nice atop the lavender. It's okay. Everything's a possibility right now. And then I want to think about my next plan of attack, which is going to be probably the rest of the face, the rest of the head area. I don't really have, I'm just going to draw a line here. So now I know, and I'll define it better for my viewers. I know that where I'm drawing here is going to let me see what I want to do next. The ear is important. I will play with the ear probably next. And I know this is where I want to cut next. Plus, I know that I may need it later to figure out where things are going to go. Just like I do with our models, when we're cutting out the model's features, I hang on to the face as a template to know where I'm going to put my images later. I kind of need to do the same thing here. Now, what I can also do is just cut everything out and go ahead and put just one solid piece, but I kind of want to break it up a little bit. So I want to think about, will this look good with this, or is that too much, or do I need a better contrast? This is actually a very nice contrast. Maybe I need to switch it up. Maybe this lavender with the pink along the lines that we just drew. So in any case, I need to put something here before I proceed and put something before I even cut this out. This is kind of nice too. I like this nail art with this lavender. Really nice balance. They go well together, and that eye might play well with it. So it would be something like this, because this is going to be, I think I'm going to go with this. I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that. So let's go ahead, keep going. Let's do some taping down. Let's commit. Oh, look, there was some cheetah here. Darn it. Darn it. Well, I really wanted this, so I always have to make those decisions. I always try to look on the back. You never know. There may be something you love even more on the back. Try not to fall in love with anything too much, because you never know what's going to happen. There was also this. I really liked this. It's not very pink, but that might be interesting too. And I think it's a good contrast with the eye. Ooh. I might save this cheetah and this lavender for something else. I'm going to put it off to the side. I also had another piece of the lavender, and there's nothing other than a lovely green. So I'm going to keep this piece of lavender. This might work. Okay, let's keep going. There are a couple issues at play with this type of technique. One has been the particular issue I've had since I've started doing this. When you apply your tape and your ephemera to the back of your image and you do this cutting, you run the risk of the ephemera falling off because you cut away the tape. And you run the risk of having to cut through all that tape. So you're pressing harder, you're cutting harder, and that can sometimes snag the edges, and it makes for poor craftsmanship. Also, we're dealing with magazine paper. It's never been created for our purposes. It's not craft paper. It's not made to be cut. It's made to be looked at and touched and read. But we are transforming it. And it's not always going to cooperate like a nice piece of Stonehenge paper or Canson paper or construction paper. It is magazine paper. However, W Magazine is a great product for collage. I really love working with it. I don't have too many of them. So it has more tensile strength to it. I love using that word, tensile strength. So I need to change my blade. It's getting a little weak there, but I always like to be careful of where I'm cutting. If it's a nice clean cut, this was a nice clean cut because again, we're using W Magazine. But when you get to these special areas, like where I'm trying to cut the lips and next I'll be cutting the nose, we're going to run into a little issue because it's detailed, and sometimes that's where you get a little bit of the snag going on. Also, I have to cut through the ephemera again. I have to cut through the paper again, and that's just more cutting to do. And in some cases, it's the paper, the top paper, it's the ephemera that's already there, and tape. And then you have, sometimes up to 4 layers that you are cutting through. So while I love this technique because it does tend to be clean and you don't have to worry about the dampness of adhesive, you run into issues with cutting. And when you cut through all those layers, you're dealing with craftsmanship, because sometimes the layers aren't all going to cut neatly and you're going to have little stragglers left over and you have to come back and clean them up. Or you don't have to do any of that either. But that's what I run into, and I really want to make sure that my craftsmanship is impeccable. I had an art teacher that I loved in college, and she would always say to us as we were working, "Is it clean? Is it clean?" And she would ask that during the crits, "Is it clean?" And we would say, if the other students work, "No, it's not." She would say, "No, it's not." And that's what lay people who don't do art on a regular basis, that's what they're going to notice. They're going to notice when things aren't clean, when things have little straggly edges. Maybe not so much here on video, but they will in person. So when this ends up in a museum, which it will soon, I don't know, maybe, I want to make sure it's clean from the get-go. That's what I'm aiming for. So that is something that is still trouble I run into with this technique. In any case, let us continue. So now I need to cut away this part, but I also need to make sure I'm cutting away this part, which I think I already did, but it's glued down, or rather it's attached with the tape. And when I cut here, which is going to be right here, I'm cutting the packing tape, which guess what's going to happen? This is going to fall away. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. I can put some tape here. As a matter of fact, let's do that right now. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit. So I know that it's going to stay in place. And the next time this area is cut is when I cut out the finished collage. So we should be okay. Famous last words. Let's continue. I'm going to go ahead and just cut along here, along this jawline I created up to the ear. It does not have to be exact. I'm not going to be exact with this. I'd like to be, but it doesn't have to be. And we're getting around the little, I don't know what this part of the ear is called, the little part of the ear, like when things are too loud and you plug your ears and this part closes over your ear. Let's keep going down the slope of the nose, tip of the nose. Pick up here. Yeah, this is the tough part. And now it's moving. It's moving because I cut through the adhesive. And I need to continue cutting. Sometimes I have to remind myself, is this area already cut? And I have to pause and adjust myself. And it's not cut, so I'm going to keep cutting. I only have the one layer, so it should be a fairly easy, clean cut. Now I know I'm cutting through that area. I just heard the tape cut. So, oh my gosh, this may pull away anyway. I still need to cut through yeah, we should be okay. I still need to cut through the cheekbone. A little bit of a cut. Trying to be as clean as possible. And shame on me, I need to change this blade. I've used this same blade, and when you use a dull blade, you definitely will run into craftsmanship issues, guaranteed, because you're pressing harder, and when you press harder, you're really injuring the paper more than is necessary. So having that fresh blade is really important. Plus, you limit the chances of injury to yourself, because when we're pressing really hard, the blade may not be as stable. It may seem like it's stable, but it's working too hard. And see that the tip is my indicator on X-Acto knives. When the tip is broken, I need to change it. That's just me. I am going to hang on to the pieces we have cut out. Maybe I'll do something with them later. I don't know. Probably not. I'm not feeling that. But here is the other part of the ephemera that was taped down. Now, actually, I should hang on to this, because when I do these types of collages or collages with more detail, I should hang on to pieces just in case I need them again. If you need to fill in little gaps and such. Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about in terms of the craftsmanship. It's not terrible, and I can certainly clean it up. I'm going to go change this blade, because this kind of cleanup right here, you might be able to see I cut and it didn't come out real clean. This kind of cleanup is what I want to avoid, and if I have to do it, I need to come back in with an X-Acto. Even these edges are just a touch on the ragged side. Nothing terrible. I'm being really picky right now. Probably, you know what? Probably because it's my drawing. I just feel like I really want to do it justice. So I'm actually coming in with the scissors just a little bit. And maybe I deviate from the image because I want it to look clean. I want some nice, clean cuts. Okay, let's change this blade and keep going. Okay, off camera, I just did a little more cutting. Fresh blade, nice and sharp. And here's another hint. When you are doing that cleanup, or actually when you are cutting, I'm just cutting off a little more from the edge. But what I'm noticing is when I do those cuts, and it's a nice clean cut, it's so clean you can't even hear the paper being sliced. You shouldn't hear anything. You should just have just a nice clean cut. Anywhere where I see some white on the edge, I'm just going to come by and gently take it off. So you shouldn't hear anything. If you have a lot of paper and adhesive layers, you will hear something. You're going to hear the snap of the tape. You're going to hear the tear of the paper. But when you don't have anything there, it should be clean and quiet. And that way you know you did a good job. Yeah, see here, I taped up here and I don't need this. Well, I might need it later. I'm going to hang on to it just in case. But we are ready to proceed. The other part of this technique that makes craftsmanship an issue is cutting through the craft paper for the template. You're going to have messy edges here also. And it's okay for this because it's not going to be part of the collage. It's just simply a guide for us to use. But you still want to make sure even these cuts are clean, because when this gets snaggy, it can affect the way the ephemera looks, and you'll have little snags of white that's sticking up. And even though that's not going to be part of the collage, that can throw you off, and you want to go back and clean. Just keep everything clean. That I can't stress that enough, obviously. So now we're going to get back to the fun part, and I'm going to play with, some possibilities. Now that looks good. Now, originally I was looking at this with the lavender, and this section that I chose, it's not very pink at all. That's not bad. It'll make the eye stand out more. Now, what did I do with that eye? Well, there was this eye. That looks good too, but I want the other eye. Ah, boy, this is what happens. Where is our eye? I always lose stuff, guys. You know I do. I'll find it. I mean, it is here. Part of craftsmanship is keeping organized, and I'm failing miserably. Okay, you know what? I'm not sure where it is. I'm finding other things though. Where is that eye? Okay, because I want to see what it's. Ah, here we are. Now we're going to put it in a safe place. So see, we got some nice contrast going on. I may want to stay with this. Do I like this pink? I do and I don't. Because this area is so dark, I think I want to work with something brighter. Shouldn't be an issue because we got this. We even have something like this maybe. We're just playing with design right now. How is this going to work? That's kind of cool. That's not bad. Okay, let's keep playing. Liking the way this looks. Also because the images are all photographs, it almost, to me, feels like it is a real person instead of when I normally use paint or colored pencil to define these images. I really like the way it's coming out. So I used a little glue. I had to get our eye on here, but then I realized I can secure the surface of this original first piece by gluing it to this piece here. So I know we're not going to have any more shifting around. We might. I don't like adding a lot of glue, but you don't really have to. Mod Podge is a great product. They don't sponsor me or anything, but I love their product. So I swear by it. That's what I like to use. And so I add a little bit of glue onto this cheek part, and we're almost done with the face. Now, whether or not I add anything else later, I was thinking about maybe something like this, but I think I want, well, maybe Maybe. My next move is going to be the ear. Oh, and then also going back to my little template here that I had going on. Not sure which direction we're in. Oh, okay, yeah. So it was like this, because I couldn't figure out where I wanted the eye. I'm like, where did I want that eye? Well, I had the eye originally on my image drawn here. So I knew when I placed it here where I wanted my eye to fall. And that's exactly where I wanted to fall, and I was very happy, and the eye is the same size as my drawing. That is serendipity, makes me happy. So we'll hang on to these. We don't know. Maybe they'll turn up somewhere else. Also, looking at it, I know that I'm going to do a little more cleanup when we remove our gal in this, later on. Very hard to see, but there's just a little bit here I'm going to need to cut just to give her a nice slope on that upper lip. So what shall we do next? I think we are going to work with the ear. That's going to be a lot of detail, and I need to determine what color I want to use next. Now, I still have some pieces left here. What I like to do when I am working on a piece like this is incorporate colors that are up here throughout the image. And we still have a ways to go. So I need to be careful how much I'm using. Now this is where I may want to bring in something more simple. There's a lot of detail, so I may want to bring in this more simple lavender, or maybe a whole new pinkish look to it. These all are very similar in color. I don't want to get too noisy with the ear, even there's a lot of detail, but I don't need to get too noisy. I'm going to use this. Do I want a dark ear or a lighter ear? Well, I want to think about then also, what about my hair? The hair going on here, larger pieces, and do I want the hair to be something that's really flamboyant? I have this piece. I want to share about this really quick. It just looks like a great design, and it is a great design. But a model was wearing it, and I just cut out the dress. The model, I think, I'm not sure where they were, but I love this look. So I might use this. There's not a lot of pink in it, but if there's enough of something that will complement pink, that I could use it. Do I want it for the hair? Looking at it now, maybe not. I think I want to stay a little more sedate with this. This was also a dress, obviously. I'm not going to put it in like this, although this is kind of fun, huh? You do stuff like that. I am not going to do this. I mean, I could, but not today. That's, you want to play. Definitely want to play. And well, of course, we had our fingernails. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it a little bit more. And we have something very basic, a very plain pink that I might want to use. But I'm thinking about the ears now. And do I want lavender for the ears? That lavender kind of looks cool for the ears. I want, there's the earlobe area here. There's the inner ear area, and then there's that little hole. And I want 3 different colors. That's going to be a bit of a challenge. Never fear, we can handle it. It's just going to take some time. Hopefully I don't break my blade, but if I break my blade, no biggie. We'll figure it out. So I think I'm going to do this off camera, and when we come back, I should have a finished ear for you. Okay, so it's not a fully completed ear. Just want to show you what I was doing. Before I attach that piece to the ear, I want to make sure my edges are clean, because I'm not going to get an opportunity to come back and clean these edges. Clean them up a little bit. They look a bit better. I did do a small unintentional cut right here, but I should be able to fix it with just a little bit of tape, not a lot, just to heal that cut. So it's very minuscule, it's very hard to notice, but again, I'm being picky today, and usually I'm not, but I'm just going to add a little bit of tape there to keep it intact. So the cut is there, but it's very hard to notice because I taped it down. So we had that little inner ear, the little hole behind that ear, and then the inner ear. So what I did was I cut a piece where I felt that's where I wanted the ear entry, the ear opening to be. And I wanted a nice contrast between that and the inner ear. I'm gonna place that here, and I just created it that way without building anything. More tape. I didn't want too much more tape. I just wanted to make sure there was a little bit of delineation so we can see that this is an ear. And I did that off camera, built it that way, and I know I'm ready to go. So the next thing is I'm going to need to put it down here, and then we need to do some more cutting. Again, just a little bit of the packing tape, and we should be good to go. Of course, now that I do this, I still need to cut this outer ear area out. And that's going to be a bit cumbersome because I now have 2 pieces and adhesive that I may need to cut through. Probably not too much, but they're going to be there and I need to be careful. And I need to cut through here. So there's just there's a lot more cutting that goes on with this. I don't mind. I want to do it. It's not a problem. So I place my object here. I believe this is where I want it to go. I'm going to just gently flip it over. Sometimes I use my packing tape to keep everything in place. In this case, I'm not. Just gonna, I think I'm gonna place it here. Okay, it moved a little bit. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that looks good. That's not too bad. It's just enough. And you may be able to see here, it's kind of hard to see. This is not my scratch paper, my drawing paper has a ragged edge. I don't like that, but I'm gonna have to cut through it anyway. So this is where the detail part comes into play. I don't want to hear anything when I'm cutting, as in the paper. I can see the paper scrunching up a little bit. I don't like that, but I can't really do too much at this point to stop it. Because again, I'm cutting through many layers now. So I need to go slow. I'm pressing down with my finger as I cut so that I can maintain some semblance of control. And along with it, as I was cutting, went those little bits of the scratch paper, or I'm sorry, the drawing paper. Ugh. And they're still there and they're still raggedy, and that's just how they are, and that's where they're going to be. I'm going to cut here. Let's go ahead and finish cutting out this ear. I know it's hard to see. I should have drawn it in ink for everyone to see. I think you'll get the general idea. I think we all know what an ear looks like. Okay, I can feel it kind of scrunching up the ephemera underneath that detailed piece I just worked on. I felt it kind of moving. This might be messy. This may require some cleanup here in just a few moments when I'm done. I'll be done, but the cleanup part is not done. Let me cut this. We should be able to free our ear. Yeah. So the drawing paper is removed. We still have some of the ephemera underneath that I needed to cut through, and it's messy. And I need to gently remove it because I don't want it to damage the work we've already done. It's attached to, okay. Sometimes what I also do is I flip it over and I can work from behind because then I have a little bit more control and I can see what I need to remove. I don't want this part, and we're going to remove that. It's a tiny piece. I don't know if I want to keep it for, you know what, I think I will. A little messy because we have some white edge there. I don't want that, so I'm going to just clip it off in case I need it. Probably won't need it, but if I get desperate towards the end and I want something that will draw the image back into where it belongs, to where it came from, I might use it. So here I go with my X-Acto, and I'm just cutting and trying to see, how can I clean up without. Now I really don't want to deviate too much because I got these very interesting curves and I kind of want to keep them intact a little bit. But this was a little bit messier. So instead of having that nice clean cut that I wanted so much, as you're cutting, you don't hear anything. I heard noises. I heard the tape cutting, I heard the paper scrunching, and I'm just like, ugh, I gotta do some cleanup. And that's all it means. If you hear that, if you decide to attempt a project like this, that's all it means is you probably will want to go in and do just a little bit of cleanup to get those snags and to get those lines nice and crisp, because that's what we want for something like this. Abstract art to me works best when the lines are clean. Really, oh God, cleanliness is very important. And my old art teacher would definitely say so. What I also like to do, you may see me doing this in time lapse if you have a very sharp eye, is I like to sometimes use this part of my blade, not the tip so much, but this part of my blade to do a little cleanup. And you got to be careful. It's like slicing because it is a knife after all. And so I'm just slicing because it's too small for me to get in there with my scissors, but I can with the blade of the knife. And the reason I'm slicing also is there's some packing tape that I'm having to cut through. So that's something I think I want to figure out. Is there a way around this where with the packing tape and the cleanliness? There's got to be. I just don't know what it is yet. In the past, when I've tried this project before, way before this channel, I would actually cut out pieces like the ear or this mouth area, and I would go ahead and slap on the ephemera, slap on some glue, slap on the ephemera, and then cut it out. That is one technique. I didn't like doing it because it got really messy. So much for that. Okay, now we have a lovely ear area. We got a little bit more of a cut there. Cut a little more than I wanted to. But for the sake of cleanliness, I'm going to cut away from here. Yeah. Sometimes I will change the image a little bit, not too much, if cleanliness is a problem. Cleanliness was a little bit of a problem up here on these ears. She did not have clean ears. We can't have that. It's not great. Like I said, for some reason today I am really about craftsmanship. I'm usually, like I said, I'm usually not, and I don't know if it's because, well, here's an image I came up with, and I want it to look as clean and sharp as possible. Okay, yeah, this area too, this bit of the ear and the curve. Curves are also a challenge to cut when you are going along a curve and the paper is thick or there is packing tape going on. Sometimes curves don't come out the way you want them to, or they come out a little messier. Okay, that's a lot better. So I'm doing this more painstakingly than maybe you will want to, and it's your collage. If you decide to do this at home, you can do whatever you would like. So I think I want to maybe use this. I think that might look good. Yeah, that looks good. But I need to consider what I want to do for the hair. Usually for hair, I like to start with the top being like a darker color. I'm going to put D for dark, light, dark, light, dark. Okay, that's good. So now I know that may be what I want to go for. So here's her first strand of hair. That should be fun to cut. And then the second one. So I just kind of want to bear in mind what colors I want to use next. This has been a carefully planned collage because the content is different. I drew this collage. And we want to consider what our next colors are going to be. And that's also part of the fun of this. I have a palette. I can always obviously deviate and go elsewhere. But I want to stay with this palette. So we have something dark. Now maybe this pink would look good here. Maybe. Maybe, right? Or maybe this. This might be better for light. Then we have this dark. I don't have a lot left. I need to be careful. I need to understand what, okay, here we go. So remember I was talking about the shadows? So this shadow, even though it's dark, it's still pink. It is dark because of pink objects, of a pink object and a pink background. So that shadow will come out as pink, and that is what we want to go for. Now I don't have a lot, which means I can't use it for every single strand of hair. I may not even have enough for the top strand. So it's just something to think about. I may want to use it for this bottom strand. Here's another pink, for lack of better terms, pink shadow. We also have some here. So that's something to think about. And this top strand is very important because, again, it's the top of the focal point, and we may want to really make sure it is seen and it is special. But let's get back to the ear, because we are working with that ear. And we have light here, we have dark here, and we're going to have dark here. So using this should be okay. I also have a smaller piece. Will this work? And that way I can conserve. Yeah, it does. It's kind of boring. I think I need it to be a little bit lighter. Let's see. So I'll do something like this maybe. Or let me go ahead and experiment. Here's that boring pink. No, way too boring. Can't do that. And then there's this. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and work on this, and I'll let you know what I come up with. Okay, I just went ahead and did some more cutting. And when I bring it close to the camera, I can see my little messy mess. It's not too bad. I'm not going to beat myself up too much, but this is definitely something that I am cognizant of, and I want it to look clean, especially before I apply any more ephemera. Just cleaning up that edge. It's been giving me trouble. Anyway, her hair, her top part of her hair is ready to go. What do I want to place here for her hair? It's going to be important. And this strand right here, I want it to be light. So we have light and dark. I'm trying to think what might be good for the dark. We have this. I don't think I have enough, however, to... It might just be better to save this for a smaller area of dark. Okay, so this is where, you know, there's a lot of thinking that's taking place. This almost works. Almost, not quite. It's not too bad. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about it. I think I want just a little bit more. It's that first strand of hair. And I'd like something. So I'd like something with color and movement. And just for fun, remember I had this wild. We have some dark here. Do I dare? That looks kind of cool. And the way the design is complements the way the hair is. So this might be good. And there is pink here, and I like the way this pink shows up. Could almost make all her hair like this, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. And there's also this little area right at the ear. I'd like it to have some nice contrast between that and the ear. I do like that. That doesn't look bad to me. Quite a bit. I like it quite a bit. Well, that's the thing. We can alternate. We can have nice wild design, then something more sedate. Wild design, more sedate, wild design. Let's go ahead and cut this up and see how it works. It's kind of fixated on this area. We've got plenty of it. I actually have another dress, the image with the same dress. And this. So, okay, let me think about this also. So this would be light. So something like this. This is light, and then put this here. It's almost too light, the light that I want to choose. Let's try this dark. And now it's almost too dark. This is too crazy, I think. But you want to play when you have these options, you want to play with those options. I think I like this. So light. We could actually utilize the dark so the ear will show up on the light strand. And then here, come in with the wild colors. That might work. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to do it. Why not? We just want it to be clean, most importantly. Okay, got some nice, I think that'll look good. I'm going to go ahead and commit, grab some tape, and I'm taping it in an area that I'm probably not going to be cutting again, so I don't have to deal with too much ephemera. And let's get rid of some of this excess. And also, when I do this, it allows me to possibly have another option in case I'm running into ephemera supply issues and I still have these little bits and pieces that could still work within the collage. Because remember, I want to bring it back in. I have everything work together. Okay, and I can see the ear here. Now, this allows me a little more freedom. I can come in with my scissors and just do a general cut. I don't have to be detailed and crazy in some of these areas like I was earlier with the ears. So the only thing is with the X-Acto, it does allow me to get into these little tiny areas. So what I'm going to do here is just do a cut behind the ear. It doesn't have to be fancy. There. It should be okay. And I'm going to cut here. And here's my cut. And I can come in with scissors. Nice trim. Clean trim. Should be enough. That's a little tiny itty bitty piece. I'll still hang on to it. You never know. Although we got plenty, way plenty of this. Famous last words, always. Yeah, there's a little bit of a mess here. I'm going to come in and just clean it up just a little bit. It's not too bad. That was nothing compared to some of the messes I've gotten myself into. Okay, now let's look at our lighter color plus the dark to help our ear. Ooh, see, so this kind of like the way this works too. We have movement. I like that. I don't know if that was what I was looking for originally. I think it was like this. Just to give our ear some, well, I think I need it. That looks good. I like that. So I'm just going to cut. Hang on to that. Yeah, that looks good. I do like that. There's a lot of movement with her hair, so I want to make sure that we choose pieces of ephemera that's going to match that and give that illusion of movement. Shouldn't have to be worrying about cutting right here. I'm just going to place just enough. Put some here also. Okay, nice and secure. Now here we are, and that's what I was mentioning. It's almost like a brush stroke, but it's also it's a photograph, so that makes it very interesting too. And so was this design. This design is also a photograph. So now my next move is going to be consider dark, light, dark, but I think we're going to stay with this. Maybe something a little more sedate, but from this same design image. Maybe something dark. Yeah, I think that'll work. And then I need to consider what the next step will be for light. So here is where we do run into some issue. I'm going to have to do some cutting. I have to cut through the ear here. Yeah. What I can do, I'm just going to fold this cut I just did over, so I don't have to cut through it. I can just bring it back and it'll be okay. Just going to put it there. Since I didn't put it down with too much tape, I can move it out of the way to make my cut easier because I have to cut through this ephemera along the lower edge of the earlobe I created for the next strand of hair. Okay, I didn't hear any noise. It was a nice clean cut. Okay, so cut here. And here I'm also playing with the design. I'm deviating a little bit away from the original drawing. Why? I just feel like it. The cutting is also part of the drawing in a way. In a way, this is where a lot of the drawing happens. We do the initial drawing, but it's more of a guide, an idea of where we want to go. Okay, so hopefully I don't have too many snags. Hopefully it'll be clean. It's just so much easier when it cuts clean. It really is. Okay, so see, we have this. And I can see the ear here. Just going to do a bit of a trim, just a little bit. Yeah, that's all we needed. Okay, now I don't want this. I mean, I could keep it. It does not look awful, but that wasn't my intention. So I'm going to cut. And I'm just cutting through the one piece. There's no tape. Be a nice clean cut. And yeah, we have that earlobe here, but we already did cutting, and it's not going to hurt it if I cut above it. I don't need to cut that. I don't need to do another earlobe cut. I can do the cut behind it so it's not visible, and therefore hiding my messy craftsmanship. It's not that bad. I'm being really hard on myself today. Don't be this hard on yourself, guys. Especially if this is the first time you're doing this type of collage work. Do not be hard on yourself. It is just not worth it. What I'm going to do here also, behind the scenes, I'm going to cut underneath so I don't have to torture myself and cut more later. I don't want to make too much more work for myself if I can help it. And yeah, that looks good. And we'll hang on to that. It's a nice, good piece. So I'm thinking about this darker area. We have a dark area here with our interesting design. I'm just going to see what it looks like. We don't have to do it. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Kind of like that. I'm good with that. I think I am anyway. I'll play around. See, I like how this bauble, there's these green baubles going on. You put the bauble right under the ear, and again, it feels like it's flowing together. They were meant to look like that. They were meant to be together. Maybe the orange, the green looks good. So we got an orange bauble here. Let's just go ahead and commit. But that means I need more tape. And I want to think about where to place the tape, because I don't want to have to cut through my tape. Cutting through, they talk about cutting through red tape. Well, for us, it's cutting through packing tape. And we don't want to do that, so I'm just going to put it right here, and I need to get myself some more packing tape ready to go. Okay, that's how it's looking. Let's go ahead and give this a trim. I'll hang on to this. That's a nice piece. But that's how it's coming along. Not bad at all. Looks different. I'm liking it. I'm gonna have to cut here and along the line again. So this is where it gets tricky. We're gonna have to cut along this jawline again. That's okay. We can do that. We can do that off camera and come back, and she'll have some new hair, and we can think about the rest of the body and what else we're gonna be placing there. We are moving on to the body, And you may notice that there are certain sections of the body, the arms, the breast area, the hips, that are kind of overlapping. And I want to try and create something of a transparency with the ephemera that I have. I don't know how successful that'll be, but I'd like to at least give it a try. It's something that can be accomplished in a painting. I'm not sure if I am going to be able to do that here, but I'm up for the challenge of doing something just a little bit different with my ephemera. So again, doing some more cuts. I thought that was going to be a pretty clean cut, and it, for the most part it was. Anyhow, looks like we freed it. See if I can get this loose without too much hassle. Okay, now we'll save that just in case. I want to hang on to this. There's the breast area here. I want to use this flower for that, but I can't do anything just yet. So again, just like with the eye, this is my mark where that's where I want to place it. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and find something in my little stash here that will look good. Now, because this flower is so pretty and it is a breast area, it's going to be prominent. It's going to be something everyone's going to be looking at. And I got to take that into consideration. So I want something that's going to be a nice contrast for the flower. Maybe this. Again, we can go with something that's light, but the contrast isn't great. We can always build it up with more ephemera. Let's go ahead and play and see what we come up with. This is a very nice base. It's a nice basic pink, and I thought this was going to be all about pink. I deviated, but not, it's not a big deal again. Let me play with this because that does offer a really beautiful sort of contrast and does relate to pink. So maybe something along the lines of, oh, I don't know, maybe this. Well, let's see, is this too big? Now this is why I hang on to this template, because I can refer back. I'm like, this is where I had the breast area, so it'd be something like this. Okay, now that can make for an interesting contrast. Do I want to do it? I'm not sure just yet. This is why I love this technique, because it allows me to decide without doing anything much of a commitment. Okay, this is fine, but it's just not as interesting. So yes, I can add to it, but I'm not sure. If the ephemera is going to do the work for me, then I don't really need to add too much more to it. That's very, very busy, and yeah, it's too busy. So I think I like our first choice because of this darker area, and we have some beautiful pink going on, and it will work well with our imagery and with our flower. So it'll be something like this. Yeah, so it shadows the flower very well. That's why I would like to use it. So we can go ahead and commit that. I love the pink down here. I'm feeling really good about that. I want to make the belly area here a bit more rounded because it becomes more of a vessel. It has more of a imagery of an urn. This isn't a piece that I'm trying to say anything deep, but I remember always trying to accomplish that when I was doing these types of drawings and paintings when I was in school. So I remember always reflecting about this region of a woman's body, being the vessel for life. And I'll go back here, do a little bit more of a cut, nice clean cut, even though, again, this doesn't mean it's going to be part of the collage. It's just a good place to start if everything is nice and neat. So let's get back to time lapse, and I am going to commit this to our collage. So this is a really good opportunity to show you how I look for the dark and the light and in the ephemera. I look for the dark and the light in the ephemera. I see there is a really lovely shadow going on here and then some brightness. Well, I want to capture that shadow in this composition underneath the breast area next to the body. So it's really pretty subtle. And I just organize it just enough where here's the darkness and here's the hot spot. This is where the light may be coming in. So I like the way this looks. I'm going to go ahead and try to work without my drafting tape and see if I can just commit it. Originally, I was going to go with this blingy nail that I cut out, but it was actually just a little bit too much. It was a little bit too much for me, and I just wasn't feeling it, so I didn't do it. I like this, even though it's related to the rest of the body. That's okay. So I'm going to lift it carefully here. Hopefully it stays in place. Should be staying in place. Oh god, I'm not sure. Something happened here. Okay, this is when I get myself, oh, look at this. This is kind of getting untucked. That happens. It's okay. Something was getting untucked, and that's why it wasn't following through. So let's try this again. Try to find that darkness, that nice little shadow going on, and we got some nice heat on the shoulder. Adjust it a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Let's try this again. Keeping this in place. Moves around a little bit. Not crazy about that, but that's okay. Should stay. Maybe an extra piece of tape right here. I don't think I'll be doing any more cutting in that general area. Okay, that looks good. I like the way that looked. Got a little bit of a snag here. This is what drives me crazy. A little bit of a snag, and I'm just barely using the tip of the blade to try and remove that. This is when I wish I had surgical scissors. There are collages out there that use surgical scissors, and this is when I wish I had surgical scissors instead of my big clunky ones. A little messy. It's messier than I like. It happens. Okay. So this looks nice. It's nice and subtle. It isn't too much. It isn't too much, and I want to keep it, keep going at this rate. Now, I have this overlap here that I drew. Don't necessarily have to maintain that. I had it over here as well. And I still have some of this ephemera. So what I'm going to do is see if I can replicate it over here also. I should only be cutting through the one piece of ephemera. There shouldn't be anything else around it. I'm cutting here. Well, I'm also obviously cutting through the drawing paper. Just a little oval. Actually, that looks like there were a couple pieces that came up, but it wasn't too much, and there wasn't any packing tape interfering with that cut, and it was a quiet cut. I didn't hear anything. Quiet cuts are important right now. And let's see, where is that? Yes, it was from here. I can use the pink. I can use the plastic looking, I don't even know what it was. I think it was like, it was a background for a model. So I'm using this background. And it's very small. It's really kind of infinitesimal. And it's just there to strengthen our focal point. I'm going to go ahead and get the shiny part and just paste it on. Kind of a general idea of where I want it to go, just as long as it's there. Get the packing tape. Probably about 2 pieces, top and bottom. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to be cutting any more in this general area. The more packing tape I put on, the more I run that risk of, I gotta go ahead and cut through it later. So be it. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. I like the way it looks. Kind of matches here. And most importantly is I want to make sure that it's on there, it's not going to fall, and I won't know where it went. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the rest of this hand. I don't think I finished drawing this hand. I just have what looks like the palm up with the pinky. So something like this maybe is what I think I was trying to go for. And it's like the profile of the palm, the hand. Not sure. I think I know what I was trying to do, but now this is like a work in progress and I'm figuring out as I go, which I don't normally like to do for pieces like this, but here we are. That's what I did. Okay. Finish the cut, create the stencil. Okay. But we have a lot of little cleanup to do here. I want to keep this, I want to keep this, and we can get rid of this. Okay, it doesn't look like it's going to be too difficult to remove it. Down. Even though we're almost done here, I could just cut, well, almost done with this section. I could just cut through if I wanted to, but I want to maintain my stencil as long as I can. When this happens, I sometimes just flip it off to the side and I'm like, okay, where are you? There you are. That's where you were. And I'll come in here and I'll just gently saw it off with the blade. Not using the tip of the blade, just the side of the blade, this section that doesn't get a lot of work in. And it looks like we did a pretty good cut. Also, when I realized this extra paper, I don't really need it. So I'm going to trim it away. Hopefully I don't trim too much. Sometimes I've done that. I've trimmed too much, or I trim in an area that I thought was clear to trim, and I ended up cutting away a lot of work that I'd already done. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to clean this up. There's some little snags here. I'm going to clean it, just cutting it up a little bit. It does deviate a bit more from my original drawing. Oh, look, I think I broke the blade. Shoot. Yeah, it happens. Sometimes I'll go through several blades. I try not to. I mean, if the blade stays fairly sharp, I rationalize I can keep using it when I really, really, really should switch out. But you get in that zone, you don't want to stop and get a fresh blade. I should just have fresh blades on the ready next to me, and that way we wouldn't have a problem. Okay, this portion I'm just going to cut away here. Okay, very good. So I need to decide what we want to do for her arm there. I was using this lavender with the other arm, and also for the breast area, and that wants to keep coming out. It's right here. I don't like this. This keeps popping out because it's I'm just going to trim this bit of lavender away. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think I'm going to add a little bit more of the lavender here. I think I have some more. Then I'm starting to think about our fun, funky design that we use for the hair. Do I want to start incorporating that again? I don't think so, not yet. Just working on the body parts right now. I know I had some more of this, unless I really already chopped it up. I think I chopped it up pretty good. Well, there was the nail again. Do I want to put the nail here? Let's try it. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. I don't know if it's long enough. I need a little bit more here, or I could add this lavender. Yeah, that actually works pretty well. I like the way the jewels look on the arm here. Kind of brightens it up, and it's a nice contrast to the darker shoulder that she has. Let's flip it over, and you can see it here. So I can just maybe do this up to here. Let's go ahead and commit it. Okay, we are kind of done. I'm gonna call it a night, gonna call it done. I need to put it on a background that you can see it a little better. So this was actually not so much experimental, still life that I posted a little while ago. That definitely was experimental, and this one is too. I'm pleased with it. I might come back and add some more to it. But I think for now it looks okay. I'm okay with it. Well, like I said, I'll revisit it in a little couple days and maybe feel differently and feel that it needs more oomph, or I'll just leave it as it is. In any case, that's what we have. That is our collage video for the week. I thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again in the next video.